The galaxy had seen many things. Strange planets, endless stars, and civilizations older than the memory of most species. Yet, even in this vast expanse, some discoveries could still shock the most experienced explorers. This was one of them. Far beyond the Andromeda sector, at the edge of the Coalition's research zone, there was a small planet that most considered unremarkable. Its surface was rocky, dotted with shallow craters, and its atmosphere was thin but breathable for certain species. No major settlements, no colonies, no obvious resources. It had been classified as unworthy of attention for decades. Until now. Dr. Vrel, a senior xenobiologist, leaned over the observation console of the Coalition's research station orbiting the planet. His 3 arms adjusted the scanner readings while his multifaceted eyes reflected the swirling data on the screen. "These readings, they don't make sense," he murmured. Commander Thier, a tall insectoid officer with bioluminescent markings across his exoskeleton, turned toward him. "Explain," he said, his voice low but authoritative. Vrel gestured toward the monitor. "I'm detecting multiple life signs. Not adult humans, these are children. Entire groups of them. They are alive, moving, and surviving." In places that should be uninhabitable, the room went silent. A human child surviving here? That alone was shocking. But several children? And for how long? The sensors could not tell exactly, but the pattern suggested months, maybe years. Lieutenant Rin, a feathered species known for its sharp intuition, tilted its head. "Children alone? On an unmonitored planet? Why have we not detected them before?" "That's what I don't understand," Vrel said. "We've scanned this planet multiple times over the last century. Life signs this strong should have been impossible to miss. And yet here they are, entirely unrecorded until now." An uneasy murmur traveled across the control room. Some aliens began to speculate. Could these children have been abandoned? Or were they the result of some long-forgotten experiment? A voice cut through the room. "Caged human children?" It was Admiral Krast, the head of the Coalition's research fleet. His many eyes glowed brighter in alarm. "Have you any idea what this means?" The question hung in the air. Everyone felt it, though none answered immediately. The meaning was clear. Humans were unpredictable. They were not just another species to study. They were dangerous in ways the galaxy did not yet fully understand. Vrel sighed. "We need to observe them further. A closer study will clarify if they are merely surviving or if they are organizing." Commander Thier narrowed his eyes. "Observing? They are children. If anything happens to them..." "You are thinking emotionally," Admiral Krast said sharply. "We are scientists. Observation is not interference, at least, not yet." Even as the debate continued, the children lived in their hidden world below. The planet's surface was rough, with sharp cliffs and jagged valleys. The children, no more than 10 or 12 years old in most cases, had built shelters from metal scraps, stone, and remnants of old human technology scattered across the terrain. They had learned to trap small wildlife for food, harvest water from hidden springs, and even protect themselves from sudden storms that swept across the rocky surface. The oldest of the group, a girl named Lyra, had taken the unofficial role of leader. She had a keen mind, far beyond her age, and a quiet confidence that drew the other children to her. Her younger brother Jace, barely 8, was her shadow, curious, brave, and surprisingly clever. Together, they had kept their small community alive for months, always moving, always cautious of unknown dangers. The first warning came as a low hum in the sky. Lyra paused, crouching behind the wall of a makeshift shelter. Jace looked up. "What is it?" "I don't know," Lyra whispered. "Something big. Something. Not like the storms." High above, the Coalition's reconnaissance drones moved silently, scanning the children from orbit. Their sensors had detected unusual activity, patterns of intelligence, signs of strategy. The drones were harmless, meant only to observe, but the children were not yet aware of their presence. Lyra studied the strange hum, then motioned to the others. "Stay low. Don't make a sound. Let's see what comes first." The drones circled, recording everything. For the aliens, it was a moment of pure data collection. But for Lyra and her group, it was the first hint that their world was larger than they had imagined. A galaxy far beyond their planet had noticed them. Back on the station, Vrel adjusted the instruments, noting the children's ability to survive and adapt. "Look at this," he said. pointing at a monitor displaying a thermal scan. They are clustering intelligently, forming protective units. Even the youngest knows to stay in the center, shielded by the older ones. They've developed survival instincts far beyond anything we expected. Rin whistled softly. They are learning. Rapidly. This is remarkable. Admiral Krast's many eyes narrowed. Remarkable? Or dangerous? Do you realize what these children represent? Humans never stop. Even their smallest members survive where we think they cannot. If they can do this alone, imagine what a coordinated human effort could achieve. Commander Thier nodded slowly. We may have underestimated them, or underestimated their species entirely. For hours, the aliens watched. They tracked how the children moved, how they communicated through subtle gestures and sounds, how they built and repaired their shelters. They noticed that Lyra often held small councils with the others, pointing out tasks, assigning roles, solving problems as a team. It was unusual. Even advanced alien species rarely showed such coordinated ingenuity at such a young age. Meanwhile, on the ground, the children's world was alive with activity. Lyra and Jace led a small team to reinforce a rock wall near their camp. They carried stones and scraps of metal, placing them carefully to create a barrier against sudden windstorms. The youngest children watched from behind, learning without needing to be told. We need more support here, Lyra said quietly. The wall won't hold if the storm is too strong. Jace picked up a long metal rod and jammed it between two stones. Like this? Lyra smiled faintly. Exactly. You're learning fast. That's good. Keep at it. Unseen by them, the drones above recorded every action. The aliens on the station whispered among themselves. Do you see this? Vrel said. They are not just surviving. They are organizing, improvising, and learning together. Even the smallest, weakest child is contributing meaningfully. Rin tilted its head. It's impressive. I've never seen anything like it. Admiral Krast's voice was heavy with concern. This is no longer a simple observation. These children are proof of human resilience. And resilience in humans often leads to something dangerous. Resistance, rebellion, and survival against all odds. They may be children, but they are already shaping their world. On the planet, Lyra paused near the campfire, looking at the stars. She did not know it yet, but the galaxy was watching her. She felt a strange sense of unease, as if the wind itself whispered warnings of what was to come. Jace tugged at her sleeve. Do you think... Are we alone? Lyra shook her head slowly. I don't know. But if we are not alone, we have to be ready. Back in orbit, the Coalition's council debated what to do next. Some argued for immediate intervention, fearing what humans might become if left unchecked. Others pleaded caution, warning that any interference could provoke a species they did not fully understand. Vrel sighed. Whatever we do, we must remember these are children, but they are also humans, and humans are never simple. Admiral Krast's eyes glowed brighter as he stared at the readings. No, they are not simple. And if this is what human children can do alone, imagine the consequences when an entire human civilization awakens. We must record everything. We must understand. And we must... Be careful. The Alien Council agreed, though uneasily. Observation continued day and night. The children remained unaware, yet their every move was documented and analyzed. The planet's winds howled across the rocky valleys. The children huddled together in their shelters, preparing for another night. They shared stories of their parents, of old legends from Earth, and of dreams they dared to have, dreams of a world beyond their planet. Above them, the aliens watched silently. They saw courage, ingenuity, and the beginnings of leadership, and they realized something that would haunt them in the years to come. Humanity, even in its smallest form, could never be contained, controlled, or predicted. For the first time in generations, the galaxy paused to witness the extraordinary, the resilience of human children, and it would not be the last time. The planet's rocky valleys stretched endlessly under the pale light of its twin moons. The wind swept across sharp cliffs, carrying dust and small pebbles that rattled against the shelters the children had built. From orbit, the alien drones watched silently, recording every movement. They had learned one thing quickly. These humans were not ordinary, even at such a young age. Below, Lyra crouched beside a small fire in the middle of the camp. She traced patterns in the dirt with a stick, explaining her plan to Jace and two other children, Mara and Finn. We need to move the supply caches higher, she said. If another storm hits, the water could wash everything away. And if the cliffs collapse, we need escape routes ready. Mara, older than Finn but smaller in size, nodded. I can carry the tools. The others can move the containers. Finn, ever curious, tilted his head. Lyra, how do you always know what to do? Lyra smiled faintly. Because we have to. If we don't, no one will survive. That's all there is to it. The children worked quickly, moving boxes, repairing broken walls, and setting small traps around the perimeter. The traps were simple, sharp stones hidden under leaves, tripwires made from thin vines, but clever. Lyra had learned from mistakes. She knew the children needed more than just shelter. They needed security. Above them, the drones captured the activity, sending live feeds back to the research station. Vrel adjusted the sensors, zooming in on each child's movement. Notice the coordination, he said, pointing at the monitor. They are not just moving randomly. Every action has a purpose. They assign roles naturally. They communicate silently without speaking. Rin, hovering nearby, tilted its head. Even their youngest seems aware of the plan. That is unusual. Unusual? Admiral Krast repeated, his multiple eyes narrowing. It is unprecedented. Children this young on their own, surviving in a hostile environment, and organizing. It defies all known biology and strategy models. They are learning faster than we expected. On the ground, the children had finished securing the camp. Lyra stood at the edge of a cliff, peering down at the jagged valley below. Good, she said. Now we need scouts. Someone has to check the northern ridge. We can't risk being surprised, Jace volunteered immediately. I'll go. I'm fast. Lyra studied him carefully. You are fast, yes. But you must also be careful. Do not take unnecessary risks, Jace grinned. I won't. I promise. He ran off silently, leaping from rock to rock with an agility that surprised even Lyra. Soon other children followed, each assigned a task according to their strengths. Some gathered firewood, some repaired shelters, and some maintained lookout posts. Even the youngest children participated by carrying small supplies or learning observation skills from the older ones. The alien drones recorded everything. The researchers on the station exchanged whispers. Do you see this? Vrel said. The children have created a system. Roles, responsibilities, even leadership hierarchy. They are capable of governance at the most basic level. Governance in children? Thea asked, incredulous. How is that possible? They are so young. Humans are unlike us, Vrel explained. Even their young possess ingenuity and adaptability, far beyond what we see in other species. Their survival instincts are remarkable. And now we see intelligence paired with leadership. In the northern ridge, Jace's scouting mission revealed more than he expected. Among the rocks, he discovered the remains of old human machines, rusted, broken, but still recognizable. There were tools, fragments of vehicles, and pieces of communication devices. He examined them carefully, imagining how humans might have used them before the planet became isolated. Returning to camp, he brought the items to Lyra. Look, he said, panting. They could help us. Old humans made these. Maybe we can fix them? Lyra examined the fragments thoughtfully. Yes, even small parts can help. We can repair what we can. Every tool counts. Every bit of knowledge counts. The children spent hours reconstructing simple devices. Using scavenged gears, wires, and rods, they created makeshift pulleys, water collection systems, and small signal devices. Each creation, no matter how small, improved their lives. The youngest watched in amazement, learning from every movement, every decision. Night fell and the valley grew silent. The children huddled around the fire, sharing stories. Some were about their parents, some about old legends of Earth, and some were dreams of a world beyond the rocky planet. Lyra looked at the stars above. One day, she said softly, we might see other humans, or other worlds, but we have to survive until then. And we will. Even as she spoke, the alien drones monitored every gesture, every expression. Vrel leaned closer to the screen. They are resilient, yes, but notice their social bonds. Leadership, teaching, learning, they reinforce each other. This is more than survival. This is civilization in miniature. Admiral Krast's expression darkened. And that is what makes them dangerous. Civilization is hard to contain, even in the smallest form. These children, even without adults, they adapt, learn, and organize. They are the seed of something larger, something unpredictable. Back on the planet, the children had devised a simple communication system. Using small whistles, hand signals, and coded knocks on rock walls, they could send messages across long distances. It was crude, but it worked. It allowed them to warn each other of dangers, share discoveries, and coordinate movements. Lyra tested it first. She blew a short whistle, paused, then repeated it. Moments later, Jace responded with a series of taps on a nearby stone. Lyra smiled. Good, they understand. This will keep us safe. As the night deepened, Lyra kept watch at the edge of the camp. The wind howled across the cliffs and the shadows danced in the moonlight. Yet despite the cold and the danger, there was a quiet strength among the children. They were small, yes, but they were fearless. They were learning. They were adapting. Above them in orbit, the aliens debated once more. Have you considered the long-term implications? Rin asked. These children will grow. They will teach others. They will survive and expand. If we interfere, we may provoke them. If we do nothing, they will continue to learn. And eventually they will surpass expectations. Vrel nodded. Exactly. Even now, their problem-solving abilities surpass many species twice their age. Their resilience is astounding. And unlike adults, children are not burdened by fear of consequences. They act, adapt, and invent instinctively. Admiral Krast turned away from the monitors, his many eyes focused on the distant planet. We must continue observation, but keep contingency plans ready. Humans are never simple, not even the smallest ones. These children may yet redefine what the galaxy thinks it knows about their species. On the surface, Lyra and the children continued to fortify their camp. They moved silently through the rocky terrain, avoiding dangerous cliffs and unstable ground. Every step was careful, every action deliberate. Even the youngest carried small tasks, learning, contributing, and growing stronger. Mara paused beside Lyra. Do you think anyone will find us? She asked softly. Lyra shook her head. I don't know. But if they do, we have to be ready. Always ready. No one survives without being careful. Jace, ever enthusiastic, chimed in. We're ready. We can do anything. Lyra smiled faintly. Yes, we can do anything, if we stick together. The wind carried their words across the valley, whispering through the rocks and cliffs. Somewhere above, the alien drones recorded every sound, every movement, and every strategy. The Coalition scientists watched in awe, realizing that these children were not just survivors. They were pioneers of a new human resilience, a living proof that humanity, even in its youngest form, could endure, adapt, and inspire respect across the galaxy. As the twin moons dipped below the horizon, the children fell asleep under makeshift shelters, huddled together for warmth. Their dreams were filled with stars, faraway worlds, and possibilities. They did not yet know the galaxy was watching them, nor the significance of their survival. But even without this knowledge, their strength, intelligence, and unity shone brighter than any star above. And somewhere far above, the aliens began to understand something terrifying and extraordinary. These human children were not just survivors, they were a force the galaxy could not ignore. The observation drones had been in orbit for weeks, capturing every movement of the human children. The Coalition's scientists had marveled at their ingenuity and coordination, but they had also begun to fear it. A species that could survive alone in a hostile environment, learn quickly, and organize at such a young age could not be underestimated. Admiral Krast convened a meeting in the main command room of the orbital station. The air was tense as the Coalition Council debated their next steps. We can no longer merely observe, Krast said, his many eyes glinting with urgency. These children are developing faster than anticipated. Intervention is necessary, if only to ensure that their survival does not threaten the balance of this sector. Vrel frowned. Intervention, you mean capture them? Yes, Krast replied. We will relocate them to a controlled environment. No harm will come to them, but they cannot be left to grow unchecked. Their species, humans, are unpredictable. If left alone, they may spread, learn, and challenge the order we maintain. Commander Thier's exoskeleton bristled. Unpredictable? They are children, Admiral. Surely they cannot pose a real threat. Krast's eyes narrowed. Children, yes. But humans are never ordinary. Even in their youngest form, they survive and adapt where no one expects. We have already seen their resourcefulness. We have watched them organize, communicate, and innovate. Do you understand what this means? This species cannot be underestimated. Rin, the feathered strategist, tilted its head thoughtfully. Then intervention must be precise. Any misstep could provoke them. Even young humans may resist in ways we cannot predict. Krast nodded. Exactly. We proceed carefully with minimal interference, but the operation must succeed. Prepare the fleet. We descend to the planet tomorrow. Below, on the planet's rocky surface, the children were unaware of the looming threat. The camp had grown stronger over the weeks. Shelters were reinforced, water collection systems were repaired, and small watch posts were established on the cliffs and ridges. Lyra reviewed her plan with the older children. We must remain alert, she said. Something is coming. I don't know what, but I can feel it. Keep the scouts ready. Don't approach strangers and never leave the camp alone. Jace bounced on the balls of his feet. Do you think it's aliens? Lyra studied him carefully. I don't know. But whatever it is, we must be ready. The first sign came just before dawn. Shadows moved across the ridges, too uniform, too precise to be natural. Lyra motioned for silence, and the children crouched behind the shelter walls. From orbit, the Coalition's fleet had deployed several landing crafts. Sleek, metallic, and silent, they descended toward the valley. The fleet's sensors had already mapped the terrain and the children's positions. The plan was to capture the humans quickly and safely, without harming them. But the children were not so easily caught. Lyra had taught them to anticipate danger, to read patterns, and to act with caution. Even without knowing the specifics, they sensed the presence of intruders. Lyra whispered instructions. Jace, take the east ridge. Mara, the west. Finn, follow me to the lower path. Move quietly. Watch for anything unusual. As the first landing craft touched the rocky ground, dust and small stones exploded around it. The alien soldiers began to disembark, their armor shining in the weak sunlight. They were confident, equipped with technology far superior to anything the children had. Yet they were about to learn a lesson in human ingenuity. Jace crept along the ridge, keeping low. He noticed the aliens' movements, their coordinated steps, and the patterns in their advance. He whispered through the small signal device Lyra had given him, alerting the others. They're moving in 3 groups. Be ready, he hissed. Lyra and Finn had already prepared simple but effective defenses. Stones balanced on ledges, tripwires camouflaged in dust, and pitfalls covered with branches awaited the approaching soldiers. The children had learned to turn the environment to their advantage, using their knowledge of the land to create barriers that could delay or confuse intruders. The first alien soldier stepped into a pitfall. He fell with a loud thud, startling his companions. Another tripped over a hidden wire, sending a warning signal across the group. The children watched silently from above, hiding and observing, their hearts racing but their movements calm and controlled. Vrel, monitoring the live feed from orbit, could barely contain his astonishment. They are using strategy, traps, intelligence. They are defending themselves. And they are children. Admiral Krast's eyes widened. Unbelievable. I expected some resistance, but this is extraordinary. They adapt to every action we take. They anticipate our movements. Even now they are outsmarting trained soldiers. The alien soldiers regrouped, cautious now. They advanced slowly, scanning for traps. Lyra signaled the younger children to stay hidden. They huddled quietly, observing the older ones. Every move was a lesson. Every tactic was a demonstration of human problem-solving, Finn whispered to Lyra. They're getting closer. What now? Lyra studied the terrain. She noticed the soldiers' reliance on technology, their sensors, communication devices, and precision instruments. She realized that even the smallest disruptions could give them an advantage. Use the environment, she instructed. Make noise over there, she pointed to a pile of rocks, and lure them toward the eastern ridge. Jace will handle them. Jace nodded and sprang into action. He rolled a small boulder down the slope, creating a loud crash that echoed across the valley. The alien soldiers moved toward it, cautious but curious. They did not see the smaller traps set along the path. One by one, the soldiers tripped, stumbled, and were delayed by the children's clever tactics. Lyra and the others moved silently, repositioning, adjusting, and preparing for the next phase. From orbit, the alien fleet was astonished. These humans, Vrel said, shaking his head, they are clever beyond expectation. Even children can create obstacles, anticipate behavior, and coordinate attacks. This is remarkable. Krast's expression darkened. It is remarkable, yes, but it is also a warning. We cannot treat humans as we do other species. Even the smallest ones are dangerous if underestimated. Proceed with caution. Capture must succeed without provoking them too far. The alien soldiers attempted to advance again, now using flying drones to scout the terrain. But the children had anticipated this. Lyra had constructed small reflective devices from scavenged materials. When the drones approached, the mirrors reflected sunlight, creating blinding flashes that disrupted the sensors. The drones faltered, hovered uncertainly, and eventually retreated. Lyra smiled faintly. "They don't expect us to think like this," she said. "That's our advantage." The standoff continued for hours. The alien soldiers regrouped, cautious and frustrated. They realized that these human children were not just surviving, they were resisting intelligently. Lyra and her team used every trick they knew. Decoys, signals, noise, and traps, all coordinated with precision. Even the youngest children contributed, carrying small supplies and observing patterns to improve future defenses. Brel, watching from the station, whispered, "They are learning in real time. Every mistake we make teaches them. Every maneuver we attempt strengthens their understanding. They are evolving faster than we predicted." Krast's eyes glowed with concern. "We may have underestimated them. Intervention is riskier than we imagined. We must rethink our approach. Humans, even as children, are not passive, they are strategic." Lyra observed the soldiers from a hidden cliff. She realized that they were highly organized, using technology to coordinate. But she also saw their hesitation, their caution, and their reliance on predictable patterns. She adjusted her plans accordingly. "Finn," she whispered, "create a diversion near the southern cliffs. Mara, move to reinforce the traps along the eastern ridge. Jace, continue to watch the ridges. I will oversee from the center. Stay calm, stay quiet, and trust the plan." The diversion worked perfectly. Finn rolled a series of small rocks down the southern slope, creating noise and false movement. Some soldiers moved toward it only to find empty ground. Others fell into cleverly concealed pits. Chaos spread among the intruders while the children remained composed and coordinated. Vrel's voice trembled with excitement. "It's incredible. Even with minimal resources, these humans are controlling the battlefield. They are children, yes, but their instincts and strategy are beyond anything we anticipated." Krast's expression was grim. "This is what I feared. Humans cannot be underestimated. Even the smallest, most vulnerable members are capable of defying expectations. Continue observation, but prepare contingency plans. We may need diplomacy or retreat." As night fell over the valley, the alien soldiers regrouped on higher ground, realizing that direct capture would not succeed. They watched from a distance, wary of the children who had turned the rocky terrain into a labyrinth of traps and signals. Lyra gathered her team. "We won this day," she said softly. "But remember, this is only the beginning. They will try again. We must remain ready, learn from this encounter. Every movement, every tactic we use today, it will make us stronger." The children celebrated quietly, aware of their success but focused on survival. They knew the aliens were intelligent, organized, and persistent. But they had also learned a crucial lesson. Humans, no matter how young, could think, adapt, and resist. Above them, the alien fleet remained cautious. The morning sun rose over the rocky valleys, painting the jagged cliffs with gold and orange light. The children were already awake, moving quietly through their camp, preparing for the day. Lyra stood on a high ridge, scanning the horizon. The encounter from yesterday had left a mark on everyone. The alien fleet had been cautious, but they would return, and when they did, the children needed to be ready. "We survived yesterday," Lyra said softly, gathering the older children. "But surviving isn't enough. We need to be stronger, smarter, faster. Today we make our defenses better. We turn the terrain to our advantage, and we learn everything we can from what happened yesterday." Mara nodded, her eyes bright with determination. "What should we start with?" "Scouting," Lyra replied. "Jace, Finn, you two take the northern cliffs. Watch for movement. Report back. Anyone approaching the valley must be seen first. Early warning will keep us safe." Jace grinned. "We'll be like the eyes of the camp." The children spread out, each carrying simple tools, small weapons fashioned from rocks and scavenged materials, and signal devices Lyra had taught them to build. Even the youngest ones participated, carrying supplies, maintaining shelters, or observing how the older children worked. Every action was part of a lesson in survival and strategy. Above, the alien drones monitored the valley. The fleet remained cautious after the previous day's failed attempt to capture the children. From orbit, Vrel adjusted the cameras and sensors. Noting the changes in the camp, "They are preparing," he said quietly to Admiral Crest. "They've reinforced shelters, improved traps, and set up long-range observation points. They are learning from yesterday. Their strategy is evolving." Crest's eyes narrowed. "Children, humans, I underestimated them. And now, they are adapting. We must proceed carefully. One misstep and we provoke them. Even the youngest humans can become a threat when cornered." By midday, Lyra had organized the children into small teams. Each team had a specific task. Some reinforced the cliffside shelters, adding stones and metal supports. Others improved water collection systems and food storage. A small group, including Jace and Finn, set up new observation posts with signal devices that allowed them to communicate silently across the camp. Lyra moved among them, offering guidance and encouragement. "Remember, every tool, every stone, every trap counts. We are small, but we can be clever. Always think ahead, anticipate danger, and trust each other." The children worked tirelessly, their movements precise and coordinated. Even the youngest ones were quick learners, copying the older children, carrying supplies, and understanding patterns of danger and safety. Lyra realized that this unity, this shared purpose, was as powerful as any weapon. From orbit, the aliens observed the activity with increasing fascination and concern. "Look at this," Vrel whispered. "They are using the environment perfectly. Shelters on higher ground, traps along likely paths, observation points where they can see everything coming. Even with minimal technology, they have created a defensive network." Rin tilted its head. "It is astonishing. Even the smallest humans with no adult guidance can achieve such organization." "They are remarkable." Krast's expression was grim. "Not remarkable, dangerous. We must understand this species. They do not follow normal rules. Even children can become tactical, adaptable, and intelligent beyond expectation. Keep watching. Learn. Prepare for any eventuality." That afternoon, Jace and Finn spotted movement on the northern ridge. Shadows shifted across the rocks. Another alien squadron, smaller than yesterday's, approaching cautiously. Jace signaled back to the camp using the whistle code Lyra had taught them. "They're coming," he whispered, excitement mixed with tension. "They don't see us yet." Lyra nodded. "Good. We will use this to our advantage. Everyone follow the plan. Stick to your positions. Distract, delay, and confuse them. Let them see what they think they can take but never fully succeed." The children sprang into action. Mara triggered a simple decoy, a small fire and smoke that suggested human activity on the lower slopes. The alien squadron, assuming the children were concentrated there, moved toward it cautiously. Meanwhile, Lyra and the others set up traps along the ridges, placing loose rocks, hidden pits, and tripwires that could slow or confuse the approaching soldiers. The children moved with precision, communicating silently through gestures, taps, and signals. Every step was deliberate, every action carefully planned. The aliens advanced, but the children were ready. The first soldier stepped into a hidden pit, tumbling into the rocky depression with a loud clatter. Another tripped over a tripwire, sending rocks rolling down the slope, startling the squad. A third was delayed by a false trail created by the children. From orbit, Vrel's voice trembled with excitement. "Incredible. Even with superior technology, the aliens are being outmaneuvered by children. They anticipate movement, they adapt in real time. This is extraordinary." Krast's eyes glowed brighter. "We are witnessing the full potential of humanity. Even the youngest members are capable of ingenuity and strategy. This is what I feared, and what I must respect." The encounter continued throughout the afternoon. The children, using simple but clever tactics, slowed the alien squad's advance. Lyra coordinated her teams with skill, positioning decoys, moving supplies, and signaling warnings. Even the youngest ones carried out tasks efficiently, their small hands adjusting stones, carrying tools, and watching the soldiers' movements. Jace crouched behind a rock, watching the soldiers approach. He tossed a small stone along a different path, creating a noise that drew two soldiers away from the main group. Lyra signaled him with a tap of her stick, a silent message of approval. "Well done." That distraction worked perfectly. Finn, positioned on a higher ledge, watched the soldiers stumble through hidden traps. He smiled quietly. "They don't even realize how clever we are." Lyra moved among her team, reinforcing shelters and adjusting traps. "Remember," she whispered, "the aliens are smart, but they are predictable in some ways. Use that, force them to make mistakes. Every mistake we cause keeps us safe and teaches us more." The aliens, meanwhile, were becoming increasingly cautious. Their sensors picked up patterns of strategy, traps, and decoys. They realized that the human children were not random, helpless survivors. They were intelligent, adaptive, and coordinated. Vrel watched from the station. "They are learning from every movement we make. Every error we allow them to make teaches them. They adapt faster than any other species we have observed. Even children can become strategic, intelligent, and highly resourceful." Krast's expression darkened. This is no longer a simple observation. The children are a threat if underestimated. But more importantly, they are remarkable. We must continue to watch, but we must respect their abilities. By evening, the alien squad had retreated slightly, regrouping on a higher ridge. The children, sensing the temporary pause, gathered around the campfire. Lyra looked at the younger ones. "You did well today," she said softly. "Everyone contributed. We were clever, careful, and united. This is how humans survive. Even when we are small, even when we are few, we are never helpless." Mara smiled. "It feels good to be in charge of our own safety." Lyra nodded. "It is more than safety. We are learning to think, to plan, to adapt. That is what makes us strong. That is what will protect us when the aliens return." The children shared a quiet meal, eating the fruits, nuts, and small hunted animals they had collected. Even as they ate, their minds worked, analyzing the day's encounter, learning from successes and mistakes. Every trap, every distraction, every observation was studied, understood, and improved for the future. Above them, the alien fleet recorded every detail. Vrel shook his head in awe. "They are learning faster than we expected. Every tactic we use, every strategy we attempt, only strengthens them. They are not just surviving, they are improving, evolving, and becoming formidable." Krast's expression was a mixture of respect and concern. "Yes," he admitted, "even children can teach us lessons. And these humans, they are not ordinary. Their ingenuity, courage, and resilience are extraordinary. We must be careful, we must observe, and we must respect them." Night fell over the rocky valleys. The twin moons cast silver light on the camp. Lyra stood on the highest ridge, looking at the horizon. She did not know the aliens were watching, nor the full scope of their concern. She only knew that survival required intelligence, courage, and unity. She whispered to Jace, who stood beside her. "We are small, yes, but we are clever. And clever is stronger than big. Remember that," Jace grinned. "We are humans. We can do anything." Lyra smiled faintly. "Yes, we can do anything, if we are together." And together the children prepared for whatever would come next. They had faced aliens and survived. They had turned traps, terrain, and teamwork into a powerful defense. And they had proven, even to themselves, that humans, even the smallest humans, were capable of ingenuity, courage, and strategy beyond expectation. Above them, the aliens watched, recording, analyzing, and understanding the terrifying truth. These human children were not just survivors. They were pioneers of resilience, adaptability, and intelligence, a force the galaxy could not ignore. The sun dipped below the horizon and the rocky valleys fell silent. But the children's minds remained alert, their spirits strong. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and they would be ready. The rocky valleys were quiet under the first light of dawn. The children had slept little, their minds filled with thoughts of the previous encounters. Lyra stood on a high ridge, scanning the horizon. She knew the aliens would return, and this time, they might try something different. "We survived twice," she said softly, gathering the older children. "But surviving isn't enough. Today we must show them we are not just clever. We are strong and we are human. We will protect ourselves and each other no matter what comes." Mara nodded. "What's the plan?" Lyra's eyes gleamed with determination. "We use everything we've learned. Traps, signals, distractions, and a little clever thinking. They think they can take us, but we will teach them that even children are not powerless." The children moved quickly, preparing their camp. Shelters were reinforced, water systems strengthened, and observation posts doubled. They placed new traps along every path leading into the valley, and coordinated their signals for early warnings. Even the youngest children had roles, carrying small tools, maintaining communication, and observing for changes in the alien approach. Above, the alien fleet approached once more. Their previous attempts had failed, but the coalition remained determined. The children had outsmarted them, forced them to retreat, and proven that even the youngest humans could survive against superior technology. Admiral Krast addressed the fleet. We proceed carefully. The humans are intelligent, resourceful, and coordinated. Underestimating them is no longer an option. Capture may not be possible without risking confrontation. Observe, learn, and, if necessary, engage cautiously. Vrel adjusted the sensors. Their strategy has evolved. They anticipate movement, adapt quickly, and use the environment in ways we did not expect. They are extraordinary. As the alien squad descended into the valley, the children watched from hidden positions. Lyra gave silent signals, moving her teams with precision. Remember, she whispered, they are organized, but we know the terrain. We are small, but we are clever. Every trap, every signal, every move counts. Stick to the plan. Jace led a small team along the northern ridge, ready to distract the approaching aliens. Mara reinforced the eastern traps, while Finn set up decoys along the southern slope. Even the youngest children moved carefully, carrying small stones, supplies, and observing patterns. The first alien soldier stepped into a hidden pit, tumbling into the rocky depression with a loud clatter. Another tripped over a tripwire, sending rocks rolling down the slope. Confused and cautious, the aliens paused, unsure of the terrain. Lyra smiled faintly. They don't expect this. That's our advantage. The children coordinated silently, using whistles, knocks, and hand signals to communicate across the valley. Every trap was triggered at the perfect moment. Every distraction led the aliens into confusion, and every movement was part of a larger strategy. From orbit, the coalition scientists watched in astonishment. They are not just surviving, Vrel said quietly. They are leading the battlefield. Even with minimal technology, they control the fight. Children are teaching us strategy. Krast's eyes narrowed. We underestimated them. Not only are they clever, they are adaptable and fearless. We cannot force them without consequences. This species, even its youngest members, demands respect. The standoff continued for hours. The alien squad advanced cautiously, but every step was slowed by the children's ingenuity. Rocks rolled, tripwires tripped, decoys misled, and signals alerted the children to every movement. The aliens realized that direct confrontation would only lead to more delays, confusion, and potential loss. Lyra gathered her team for a brief meeting. We've shown them we can resist, she said. But resistance alone isn't enough. We need to teach them a lesson without fighting unnecessarily. Show them humans are not just survivors, they are clever, courageous, and capable of more than they realize. Mara nodded. We can use the terrain to guide them. Show them our strength without harming them too much. Lyra smiled faintly. Exactly. We want respect, not destruction. The children executed a final maneuver. They created false trails, leading the aliens into open areas where decoys suggested human positions. Meanwhile, hidden observation points allowed them to watch the aliens' reactions and adjust signals in real time. Every step was calculated, every action precise. The alien soldiers, confused and cautious, realized the humans were not where they seemed to be. They paused, exchanging signals and scanning the terrain. It was then that Admiral Krast made a decision. Stand down, he ordered. This species, these children, they are extraordinary. We will not engage further. Observation and diplomacy, not force, will be our approach. Vrel stared at the monitors. You are sure? Even after all this, we could still try to capture them? Krast shook his head. No, this is no ordinary species. Even children are capable of strategy, ingenuity, and coordination beyond expectation. We respect them, and that respect must guide our next steps. Below, the children watched the aliens retreat. Lyra gathered them together. We did well, she said. We defended ourselves, we outsmarted them, and we learned from every move. But the most important thing, we showed them who we are. Even small humans can be clever, brave, and united. Never forget that. Jace grinned. We did it. We beat them without fighting. Lyra nodded. Yes, and that is the real strength of humans. Not weapons, not numbers, but cleverness, courage, and unity. That is what makes us strong. The children celebrated quietly, knowing the aliens would return someday, but also knowing they had learned the lesson of human resilience. Even the youngest had contributed, learned, and grown stronger. Above, the alien fleet documented every detail. Vrel turned to Krast. They are remarkable. We came to capture children, yet they taught us a lesson in strategy and intelligence. Even their smallest members are capable of ingenuity beyond our expectations. Krast's expression softened. Yes, they are humans. And humans, even the smallest humans, are never to be underestimated. We will respect them, watch them, and learn from them. They have earned that much. Over the next days, the children continued to strengthen their camp, always aware of the alien presence but confident in their abilities. They improved traps, reinforced shelters, and trained the younger children in observation and strategy. Every task, every lesson, and every exercise built their skills and their confidence. Lyra observed her team with pride. Look at them, she whispered. Even the youngest ones understand now. They know what to do, how to think, and how to survive. This is what makes humans, Mara smiled. We're ready for anything now. Lyra nodded. Yes, but remember, our strength is not just in cleverness. It is in unity, in courage, and in learning from every experience. That is what will carry us forward. From orbit, the aliens recorded all activity. Vrel shook his head in awe. They are learning faster than any species we've observed. Every day, every challenge, every encounter, they grow stronger. Humans, even as children, are extraordinary. Krast's voice was quiet but firm, and that is why we must respect them. Not as simple survivors, but as a species capable of intelligence, courage, and resilience beyond expectation. Humanity has shown its potential, and the galaxy must take notice. Months passed. The children's network of shelters, traps, and observation posts grew more sophisticated. They learned from every encounter, every storm, every movement of the aliens. Even the youngest children were capable of participating in defense, observation, and problem-solving. Lyra stood at the highest ridge, looking at the horizon. The twins' moons rose, casting silver light on the rocky valley. She smiled faintly. We have survived. We have learned. And we have shown them. Humans are not simple. We are clever, brave, and united. That is what makes us strong. Jace ran to her side. Do you think they will come back? Lyra studied the sky. Perhaps. But they will not forget us. And we will be ready. Humans, no matter how small, are never powerless. We will continue to survive, learn, and grow stronger. Mara joined them. We are human. That is enough, Lyra nodded. Yes, that is more than enough. And one day, when humans are fully grown, the galaxy will see the full strength of our species. Above, in orbit, the alien fleet transmitted their final report to the Coalition Council. Vrel spoke softly. The children have proven themselves. They are intelligent, resourceful, and united. Even the smallest humans can outthink, outmaneuver, and survive against superior technology. This species deserves respect. Krast's many eyes glowed as he concluded. Yes, respect is due. Observe them, study them, but never underestimate them again. Humanity, even in its youngest form, can teach the galaxy something remarkable. And the galaxy will listen. The children returned to their camp as night fell. They sat around their fire, sharing stories, laughter, and quiet determination. Every challenge, every encounter with the aliens, every day of survival had made them stronger. Lyra looked at the sky and whispered, One day, humans will rise. From the smallest children to the oldest leaders, we will shape the galaxy, and it all begins here, with courage, unity, and cleverness. And in the silence of the valley, the children slept, dreaming not just of survival, but of the infinite possibilities of humanity. The galaxy had watched them. The aliens had learned to respect them. And the legacy of human ingenuity, courage, and resilience had begun. Even in the smallest, most vulnerable forms,